industrial products from Grainger, offering supplies and solutions for every industry, plus same-day pickup and next-day delivery on most orders. Grainger can help you stay on top of your game. Not sure exactly what you need? Huddle up with Grainger's product specialists. They'll tackle your toughest questions to help you move your team forward. Call, click Grainger.com.
Get you listening to your favorite Raiders radio shows, podcast for the morning tailgate, JT the Break Show, Unnecessary Roughneck can all be found on our website. So check out lbsportsnetwork.com anytime and listen whenever you want. The defending World Series champs, the Texas Rangers, are in Atlanta to play the Braves Sunday at 4 on ESPN Las Vegas.
How we doing, chat? How we doing? Check 1, 2, 3. You got me?
Gambler's bonus hits again. On March 6th, Benjamin hit 4 5s, clearing his Gambler's bonus 4-of-a-kind bingo card for over $16,000. Benjamin hit big.
Okay.
You with Gambler's bonus. It's why you play the game. Treasure Island has the best food and entertainment this city has to offer.
What do you all think of Spencer Rattler in the second round? That's the hot thing today.
Featuring a wide variety of games, food, and beverage. It's going to be a dynamic hub for guests to let loose and have fun. And if you're looking for a luxurious and intimate experience, visit the Olive Starter Spa. Jeff Honester offers a variety of spa treatments, including massages, wraps, facials, haircuts, manicures, pedicures, and special packages for men and couples. Come visit Treasure Island and experience all they have to offer. Treasure Island, where parking is always free.
Here's a surprising fact. Did you know that college-educated Americans often charge more for a debt than a degree? And a lot of them know that debt doesn't discriminate based on education. And whether you hold a degree or not, debt can weigh you down. You should not be ashamed to
I am improved with technology. I am improved, but not great. Bobby, did you ever tape dead shows back in the day? Tape them. No, but you got the tape.
I knew other people would do
Yeah.
that for that stuff.
Hmm?
Sam and Ashley don't just handle cases. We take care of people. Sam and I started this market like injuries because of unmatched customer service.
Good night's game?
I thought so.
Through the legal process,
3-1 victory.
and clear communication. So if you've been hurt in a crash,
Mm.
call Sam and Ash. 702-820-1234.
Sean King at 12:30.
Sam and Ash, because you deserve what's right.
The first annual Festival is heading to
Good.
downtown
Yep.
Las Vegas Event Center.
Good to see some people in here.
April 20th from a day full of sunshine, good vibes, margaritas, and live music performances by members of the original Coral Reefer Band, the Stinson Brothers, a tribute to Jimmy Buffett and Alan Jackson, plus Gray Street, a Dave Matthews Band experience. This is an all-ages event with doors opening at 5 p.m. For more information or to purchase tickets, visit dlvec.com.
GiveMeTheVin.com is America's best car buyer. Paying top dollar for your car, truck, sports car, exotic. What are you waiting for? We want to buy your car right now. Find out why thousands of satisfied customers across the United States put more money.
Got Chris Trapasso for the NFL draft.
Yep.
Let's
He's
get
calling
them
us.
bought. Right now is the time to go. Sales of your car. GiveMeTheVin.com. So easy you can do it in your underwear.
Jeremiah was a bullfrog. What's going on with the chat? Just win Wendy. Wow. Look at that. This is not a jacket. This is a shirt. When are we going to see you again, Wendy? Coming in town for the draft? All right, here we go.
You're listening to the JT the Brick Show, where the Raider Nation has come to sound off.
Sending out the show tweet, the opening tweet.
It's time for JT the Break.
Definitely going to be mentioning a couple of non-Raider topics to open, so bear with me.
I thought Aiden O'Connell played pretty well last year. He's a quarterback who's serviceable. There's no better player who plays with heart and passion and speed than Mad Max Crosby. Wait till you see him this upcoming season.
JT the Break.
I love the addition of Jack Jones, all the plays he made last year.
Hear this?
Addition for this team moving forward.
Intercepted down the sideline. Intercepted Jack Jones, and he walks in. Touchdown.
And now,
Raiders!
All right, now we're good. Let's get to it.
here's JT the Brick.
Out of the gate, JT live on the YouTube stream and all over the globe on the flagship of the Silver and Black Raider Nation Radio on that Raiders mobile app that comes in loud and clear perfectly. You should see me, Bobby, when I'm in a sales presentation. We're with clients, customers, partners, and I just click on the app on my phone and it loads perfectly. And I say, you can hear us from Fort Lauderdale to New Jersey to Canada to London to the Bay Area, everywhere. We love the mobile app and we love having you on. And if you get into my YouTube stream, you'll get a little pre-show as we have Just Win Wendy and a lot of other friends in there right now. So you can get in there early. We'll talk amongst friends and you can make some new internet friends throughout the Raider Nation. Wow, we got a busy show today. Former NFL quarterback Sean King played with the Buccaneers. Had a really good part of his career going. He'll come in, he'll break down the quarterbacks for me. The hot name today is Spencer Rattler. Okay, Spencer Rattler. I was at the game. He got benched for Caleb Williams. Okay, so when you think of that, I was at Oklahoma in the stadium when Spencer Rattler got benched and Caleb Williams came in. Spencer Rattler was better than Caleb Williams in high school, and Caleb Williams won the Heisman and is going to go number one in the draft. So the talent pool with Spencer Rattler, and his ceiling is very high. Went to South Carolina, played pretty well. But the guy was an elite superstar at 14 years old, 15 years old, 16 years old, better than all these guys. Much better than Jaden Daniels or Drake May. When Spencer Rattler was 15 years old, he was on the cover of magazines. He might be available sooner than later. Look, some people want Michael Penix in the second round. He's not going to be there. Some people want Spencer Rattler in the third round. Probably not going to be there. Probably going to go in the second round. But whatever happens, we're going to cover every quarterback. Sean King. Chris Trapasso from CBS. Man, are we nailing it? We got you another NFL mock draft insider. He's going to join us. We're going to promote a golf tournament with one of my friends today, one of my buddy's wives for a minute. And we're going to take your phone calls at 702-365-9200. This is the calm before the storm. Next Thursday on the radio, I anchor another Raider draft. I think I've anchored 23, 24 of them, I believe. I don't remember the ones I missed. I was outside the war room when they handed me the card. Sebastian Janikowski. Everybody said, what? I was 5 feet away from Al Davis. The door was open. We were doing our show in Alameda in the hallway. That's how far I go back with the Raider draft. Day one is really interesting because you don't know what's going to happen. You have no idea what's going to happen. It could be crazy. Raiders could trade up to number 2 and take Jaden Daniels. They could wait at 13, get Michael Penix. They could get the best offensive tackle. They could get the best corner. That's what I love about this draft. We do not know. We do not know, and we're not supposed to know. We're not supposed to. Okay, we understand what the Raiders want, but more and more people are coming at me saying, man, Gardner Minshew is pretty good. You see that meme and graphic today on how his numbers are better than Trevor Lawrence over a couple of years? I'm like, man, that's pretty cool. Someone put that together. Gardner Minshew, and he's not even guaranteed to start over Aiden O'Connell. So everyone, the Raiders need a quarterback. Well, they got a 4th-round quarterback who beat the Chiefs on Christmas Day, was on the scoreboard with the all-time record for points in Raider history. Not Stabler, not Plunkett, not Flores, not Gannon. That was Aiden O'Connell. And a guy who beat the Chargers and got the coach fired. So when you look at everything that happened here, got a pretty good quarterback in the building, brought another quarterback in the building. But Raider Nation, man, they are ready for a superstar, elite player. Hey, I was more into winning games down the stretch as a season ticket holder. If I would have opened up the phones and say, you want a tank? You want a tank? Then Antonio Pierce wouldn't have got his job. And Antonio Pierce might have said, get JT out of the building. He's saying tank, and I got to keep my job by winning. Are you nuts? Does anybody got brain cells? You wanted me to go on the radio last year and as we're trending as the 11th, 12th, 13th pick and say, man, if we lost all these games, we might get the 2nd or 3rd pick. Then we wouldn't have an interim head coach who's now our head coach, who's everybody excited about. You play to win the game. You play to win every game in every sport all the time, unless you're a hockey team and you don't want to play Edmonton. I wink. Unless you're a hockey team in LA and you don't want to play Edmonton. Oh, there's some hockey last night was sick. The Washington Capitals, that last game, the last minute of that Capitals game, where Philly had to pull the goalie because they couldn't win in overtime. They had to win in regulation. You saw Detroit, all the hockey games last night. I'm all over the ice. I'm talking hockey. I'm talking Jaden Daniels. I'm just fired up. I'm always fired up to be on the radio. But here's what I'm going to lead with today. Bill Belichick bashing. Oh, my God, how stupid can people be? There is a new column out on what's going to happen going forward with Bill Belichick. It is the biggest story in sports today, other than maybe the Warriors getting knocked out, which I'm also going to spend a lot of time on that today. So we got a lot of Warrior fans on this show. I'm going to be spending some time on this. But Don Van Natter at ESPN put out a story inside Bill Belichick's failed offseason job hunt. I read it today. It was riveting. I was reading the Geddy Lee book. I'm almost done with the Geddy Lee book. So I'm trying to pound through that. But Bill Belichick voted off the island. I recommend everybody reading it. Pretty much, it seems like Belichick was in the hunt to get Atlanta. And then Bob Kraft allegedly called the owner of Atlanta and said, be careful of Belichick. So if that's it, that's the end of Kraft and Belichick. Don Van Natter is a real legitimate, tremendously legitimate journalist with Seth Wickersham and Jeremy Fowler involved in this. You think they would put out that Robert Kraft called Arthur Blank and warned him about Belichick if it wasn't true? These guys wouldn't do that. They're in business with the NFL. So if that happened and Robert Kraft sabotaged Bill Belichick, I've seen it all. That's crazy, crazy stuff here. Because what it does is, yeah, it is collusion. It is collusion and not getting someone a job. But the bigger part of this is I watched the dynasty on the Patriots. And the big conversation at the sports bar that everybody likes to say, remember the old what came first, the chicken or the egg? The conversation is who's more important, Belichick or Brady? And I've always leaned to Belichick for a couple of reasons. Belichick brought him in and drafted him. Not nobody else. Belichick could have said, nope, we're good. We have 4 quarterbacks. Belichick approved of Brady. If he doesn't do that, there's never Brady in New England ever. You want to give Belichick some credit for that? Number 2, Belichick got him ready to play along with the coaches. Number 3, Belichick had the balls after Bledsoe got hurt and then got healthy to say, no, Drew, you're not going to play. Tommy's going to play. All of it. So if it wasn't for Belichick, Brady would have had, at least he would have been not out of the league, he would have been out of the Patriot organization. So again, you got to look at how the story came about, and it proved that in the dynasty. But what happened was Belichick really got involved with the politics of Brady. He did. He drafted Jimmy Garoppolo. There was no need to draft Jimmy Garoppolo. But when you're talking about Tom Brady at 37, 38, 39 years old, it's not the craziest thing in the world to draft a quarterback to succeed Tom Brady. And then Belichick and Brady had problems because of Spygate and Deflategate. And Kraft was really pissed off about Spygate because Kraft built the brand, built the Patriots into a dynasty, and didn't want to deal with all the bad press. So that started a rift. And then the rift at the end where Belichick wanted to move on from Brady and Kraft did not want to. And then Brady went to Tampa Bay and won a Super Bowl, and did that. So there's a lot of bad blood in New England. But that doesn't mean that Bill Belichick isn't the greatest coach of all time. Better than Lombardi, better than Landry, better than Shula, fact, not fiction. And if it wasn't for Eli Manning, how many more Super Bowls would Belichick have? He'd have 8. Okay? There was some unbelievable things that happened with Belichick. So this piece and the dynasty that I just finished on, I think that was on Apple TV, is just trashing Belichick. It goes on in this column to talk about that Belichick, it was leaked, Belichick is now interested in the Philadelphia Eagles or the New York Giants or the Cowboy job. Uh-oh. That's gasoline on a fire. Belichick should be able to pick whatever job he wants. But now he's getting trashed. And you shouldn't be able to trash someone's legacy on sports radio over 6 months. If you go to every practice, every offseason, every meeting, you know how many times Bill Belichick left the building in Foxborough at 1 a.m. and was back at 6 a.m? His legacy shouldn't get trashed in a matter of a documentary that just came out and an article today. They are piling on Bill Belichick. Also, talk about his lieutenants, including Josh McDaniels, who's the head coach here, and then Matt Patricia and all the other coaches. He's got another lieutenant, Gerard Mayo. Gerard Mayo, Super Bowl champ's a new coach, and they're trashing all those guys. So this story came out of nowhere today. Nowhere. And it's the number one story in sports in Dallas, Philadelphia, New York, Boston. We got to train our audience to understand that the biggest stories in sports are going to filter through Vegas if we're running around buying T-shirts saying we're the sports and entertainment capital of the world. So this is a topic that everybody should get involved with. And I call it the trashing of Bill Belichick. They're absolutely trying to humiliate this guy. And he made Robert Kraft a billionaire, a multi-billionaire, because he kept winning. That story hit me out of nowhere. Really shocked by that today. I read the column. It was riveting. Really good. You could read it all at ESPN.com. Belichick reportedly was shocked that Raheem Morris got the job in Atlanta. So was I. So Belichick now is going to coach next year unless there's some type of conspiracy theory against him. And I don't think there is one with Jerry Jones and the Mara family with the Giants and Jeffrey Lurie in Philadelphia. One of these guys are going to hire him in the next cycle, man, but he's really taking it on the chin today. Belichick is getting beat up in a big way. So I wanted to lead with that as we open up the show. The other thing I want to talk about is the dynasty of the Warriors coming to an end last night. And I'm going to spend more time. I got more time next hour to get to it. But watching that game last night with my son, they were the closest recent dynasty we have in the NBA. So they're a recent dynasty. But some of the losses of the Warriors, I went back and looked at, I mean, they are pretty ugly. Some of the Warriors missing the playoffs or what happened last night. You know, you're not going to win every year, but the Warriors together won 4 NBA championships from 2015 to 2022. Remember, their last championship was in 2022. Before that, it was 2018. So from 2018 to 2021, 22, they weren't a dynasty. They weren't winning. They weren't in the play. They weren't doing anything. So the dynasty's over. The dynasty was from 2015, 17, and 18. They won 3 and 4 years, definition of a dynasty. So I'm watching last night in Sacramento, and it had so much going on. First off, Sacramento treats every game like it's the NBA Finals. Good for them. Good for them. I've been there before, guested the Maloop, sat courtside, been up to Sacramento. Only 2 games I've ever been up there. Didn't go there for a lot, but every time I was up there, it was one of the loudest. I was there for the cowbells, all that stuff. They didn't do anything last night. They're not even in the playoffs. Sacramento won the game, and they're not even in the playoffs. They have to win another game to get in, and Stan Van Gundy says, that's the greatest win in 17 years. And I fell off the couch. My son goes, Dad, you need to lift up? No, I'm good. I can get up. Biggest win in 17 years. They didn't even get in the playoffs. They just beat they beat the Warriors. You beat the Warriors, and then you magnify it. Then it's bigger. Oh, it is bigger. You beat the Warriors. So everybody acted like last night, like it was the end of the Warriors, the death of the dynasty, and the greatest win in Sacramento. So I am here looking into the camera on the live stream to admit something. And when I believe me, you usually guess when I'm wrong before me, but I'll admit it when I'm wrong. This garbage play-in tournament was unbelievable last night. So I'm not going to sit here, pound my chest saying, get rid of it, get rid of it, get rid of it. Last night, we saw Zion Williamson put up 40 points and almost beat the Lakers, and he goes out with a magical hamstring injury. You want to believe in a conspiracy theory? I don't. He was hurt. He got up. They would have won the game. I really think they would have won the game. Lakers win. They're the 7th seed. That was good television. Really good television. Then they go to the Warrior game in Sacramento, and it was a blowout, 25-point blowout. But it was good television because every play Sacramento was into it. So I got to admit, that garbage play-in tournament was good last night. I watched 2 full NBA games last night, 2 full NBA games with my prep for the NFL draft with my Our Lads guide in front of me, writing some notes down on defensive tackles in case we get one in the second round. So those were two big things that I wanted to get to. And then the Vegas Golden Knights won. And with what's happening with the Kings, what I love about the Vegas Golden Knights and our fans in this community, we are not afraid. Put this in a promo in 3, 2, and 1. Vegas Golden Knight fans aren't afraid of who we play in the first round. We're the bleeping Stanley Cup champs. If we have to play in Dallas or Edmonton, deal with it. Everybody's healthy. Everybody's coming back. Everybody's going to be rocking in the postseason. So who cares? Now, everybody in Lakerland is freaking out. Ooh, they got to play Denver. Oh, my God, they won, but they got to play Denver. So what? Who cares if you get beat in the first round or the second round or the third round? You want to win the championship. It's another thing that's happening with all these wild cards. We're adding in all these wild cards in sports. Well, you're going to be the third wild card. You're going to be in the play-in game. Oh, you're not in the play-in game, but you're the 7 seed now. Calm down. None of this matters unless you win a ring. And going back to the Warriors, you won 4 of them. You lost last night. Okay, you weren't going to win the title. You weren't going to win the NBA championship. But imagine if the Warriors didn't do that Draymond Green extension and they could get out of his deal in Klay. Klay Thompson had the worst game of his playoff career last night. He was beyond awful. He had what we call a John Starks game, for those who remember what that was like with the Knicks and the Rockets. Steve Kerr couldn't be humble enough to take Klay Thompson out of the game. He couldn't hit the side of the backboard, let alone the rim. And they went down in flames with him, and they got beat. So was it a death of the dynasty? No, it's the end of the core 3. The Yankees had the core 4, Mariano Rivera, Derek Jeter, right? They had great players, Andy Pettitte, Bernie Williams. They're core players. When they won 4 out of 5 World Series, it became a dynasty. They had their core 4. Jorge Posada, the core 4. Well, eventually one left, the next guy left, and they left. And the Warriors should keep Steph. It's unfortunate that they gave Draymond that money because they're scared of Draymond. I would have just said, you're out of here already. And Klay's not going to get a new contract, nor should he. That's another big topic in sports. You don't owe someone a contract because Klay was so great. He was unbelievable. Klay was so good. You don't owe him another contract. No, you made him a multimillionaire. He made you money. It all worked out. You say goodbye and you hug and you part as friends. Happens all the time in sports. Ever remember a guy named Al Davis? You imagine what Al Davis had to do saying goodbye to all the legends of the 70s and 80s? How difficult that was to do? It's part of being involved in sports. So that's a monologue. That's a ripping monologue as we're rolling here. 702-365-9200 is the number. Oh, and how about this for a big story? Lifetime ban for an NBA player, Jontay Porter, for gambling. He clearly was a gambling cheat. He disclosed confidential information to bettors, limited his participation in at least one game while gamblers made big money. So this is the biggest nightmare in all of sports. When a player gets compromised, gets addicted to gambling, and the only way to pay off his gambling debts is to lie and then get involved in throwing a game. A gambling problem isn't some guy who's playing baseball gambling on soccer games. That's not going to take down baseball. But a baseball player who's down, wink, wink, 14 million in gambling, and then all of a sudden starts throwing balls instead of strikes, starts striking out on purpose, then you got a problem. Lifetime ban. How about that for an NBA story out of nowhere? So that means he's done. He's never coming back. This isn't an appeal. This isn't, I apologize. I went to Gamblers Anonymous. He gave a better information about his own health status prior to a game. The bet would have won $1.1 million. He placed at least 13 bets on NBA games. Over. Lifetime ban. Big story today. I mean, today's not a slow business day, sports day for us. We're pretty busy here. 702-365-9200. I'm going to throw in Spencer Rattler into the monologue, brought to you by PTs, 5 to 7, midnight to 2, the best happy hour in town. They're proud partners of the Golden Knights. I watch a lot of Knights road playoff games at PTs. Their staff, their specials, it's fantastic. So when the Knights are home, pregame, or they're out of town, head on out to PTs, 64 plus locations in the Valley, and they'll make sure you have the best Golden Knight experience in town. A lot of these pop-up parties happen. Listen to me. Just go to PTs. You'll have a great time there. You'll get value, good food, and you'll get drink specials there as we get rolling. So, man, what else? So Spencer Rattler. Here's how I think the Raiders could get Spencer Rattler. And I'd be good with Spencer Rattler, not in the first round. So if the Raiders get a beast right tackle at 13, if the Raiders are in the second round, Penix is going to be gone. Penix is gone. Okay, so 13, you decide not to take Penix because he's the 5th quarterback. And Spencer Rattler could be the 7th quarterback behind Bo Nix. And the Raiders are picking in the second round, and Spencer Rattler is a good fit. That's a good future quarterback to have. That's the type of guy you can really groom, and he has a ceiling that could be elite. He definitely has the ceiling, not saying it's going to work. Not saying it's going to work, but it's something to consider when you start looking at how the Raiders are going to get a quarterback. I want Jaden Daniels. But as we're talking to everybody, and everybody I'm interviewing is telling me no chance. I mean, literally, I'm talking big people we're having on here. Okay, we're not talking about small people. We're having big mock draft people on, and they're all telling me the same thing. Jaden Daniels is a great fit for the Raiders. No chance they get him because then they got a mortgage forever. So tomorrow I'm hosting a special summit roundtable with the president of the Raiders, the head coach of the Raiders, and the GM of the Raiders. All three on the same stage. It's not going to be too deep dive into Tom Telesco's draft, I can promise you. But I'll have an opportunity to be in front of him tomorrow. And I'm just interested with the vibe around this team heading into the draft. I mean, the vibe looked pretty good when everybody showed up voluntarily. They had perfect attendance. Antonio Pierce is there going, oh, my God, hey, let's talk to Max Crosby. And Max is ready to go. Christian Wilkins is ready to go. Trey Tucker's ready to go. Andre James ready to roll. Colton Miller heading into year 7. And Vegas has the win total at 6.5. Wow. I got to deal with that. Ooh. How am I going to deal with that? Because I don't gamble. See, if I did gamble, I'd take all my money in my 401k. But I'm not old enough to take it out yet, Bobby. I got a long time for that. I would take it out and put it all on the Raiders over 6.5, but I don't gamble. So maybe we're going to have to talk to some degenerates or some gamblers who are going to bet that number, because I think that number is going to go up. I think that number is going to go up a little bit higher to 7, but we'll see how that plays out here. So that's a complete monologue. If you'd like to get in and call in, 702-365-9200. Sorry, it's not a show that we give you stuff. I give you a lot of stuff, Grimaldi, gift cards and this and that, but I'm not going to give you a koozie for calling in. I want you to call in because you're a Raider fan and you have an opinion on the draft in Las Vegas and how important it is. We'll talk to Sean King coming up at the bottom of the hour, and he's good. So we'll go into the quarterbacks with him and what he thinks is going to happen a little bit later on. Chris Trapasso will join us. I'm going to spend more time on the Warriors. A lot of people in my live stream chat on YouTube, JT the Brick YT, Cisco, a lot of people in there are Warrior fans. I want to dive into what happened. Warrior fans are Raider fans. Raider fans are Warrior fans. Again, I got to retrain everybody on a day like today. You should be calling in on the Warriors and Klay Thompson in that because it's an important topic in sports, and that's what we do here. And it's a Bay Area topic, and we're on in the Bay Area. All right, so when we come back, we'll get into the quarterbacks and what Sean King thinks. Who's his quarterback that maybe isn't worth the risk or is worth giving up a lot? Giving up a lot's tough to do because you have a scouting department. You have a GM. And that department doesn't want to be out of business for 2 years down the road because you gave away all the picks. Ask Denver how that's working out with Russell Wilson. Whoa, that was a good one, man. That was fun. And that's what we're going to be doing more of. I'm going to be doing more monologue live streams where I can go like that for 20, 25 minutes, give you everything I got. And then if we get some guests and some hockey guests and all that, we'll just jump off. We'll be done. But that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to get everybody to be here from noon to 2, 3 to 5 Eastern to catch the first 25 minutes to a stream. And then we'll take some of the stuff and cut it up. Pig's pig. I don't mind taking a swing on a quarterback if the value's not there when we have to pick for other positions. Yeah, well, that would be Spencer Rattler. What is that? Kyle says, told you the Kings were going with light the beam. They did. That was a good win for them. Now you got to win another game or you're out of this thing. Celtics, yeah, they should win. They're a heavy favorite. Don't forget Denver. Yeah. A lot of teams have playoff injuries and don't win. A lot of teams do. Ty, I ordered the Our Lads guide after you had the guy on. Yeah, it's really good. It's probably the best thing I use for the draft. Everybody, please click subscribe. I know most of you have. I appreciate that. Jason Horowitz is a very good play-by-play voice.
Electric SUV from Volvo, the XC40 Recharge. Volvo's first battery electric SUV is fully connected, featuring the first infotainment system designed by Google.
Yeah, you Warrior fans, East Oakland, Zay. I mean, it stinks that you lost the way you did, and Clay played so poorly. You got Sean's number?
I got about 2.5 minutes left.
Yeah.
You want an attorney who does everything in his power to translate knowledge and experience into big bucks.
If you got a question for former quarterback Sean King, put it in the chat, and I'll try to get to one or two of them.
The first annual Margarita World Festival is heading to the downtown Las Vegas Event Center. Hey, it's Steph. Join us Saturday, April 20th for a day full of sunshine, good vibes, margaritas, and live music performances by members of the original Coral Reefer Band, the Stinson Brothers, a tribute to Jimmy Buffett and Alan Jackson, plus Gray Street, a Dave Matthews Band experience. This is an all-ages event with doors opening at 5 p.m. For more information or to purchase tickets, visit dlvec.com.
JT for Grimaldi's Pizzeria, that famous New York style coal-fired brick oven pizza that you crave. 4 locations in the Valley, Boca Park in Summerlin, on the Strip at the Palazzo, Southwest Las Vegas on South Rainbow, and in Green Valley on Southeastern Avenue.
I am looking forward to Sean King. Hey, Sean, how you doing? Okay, so for JT, give me 1 minute, okay?
Saturday, April 20th, 8 p.m. Star of the Desert Arena at Buffalo Bills.
Okay, he's all set. This is Robert Spillane coming back.
Okay. Yep, thanks.
Ticketmaster.
3 Dog Night. How about that?
Let me turn that up.
So, Wendy, you're coming in for the draft party, huh? What's going on, James? Raider Nation Radio 920 refuses to come up. Then just go to the Raiders mobile app, as I remind everybody.
Yeah. Here we go. Robert Spillane.
Brought to you by the Black Hole, the younger member of football's most notorious fans.
Without a doubt, going on year 2 with the organization,
they respect me, that they care about my opinion. So it's my opportunity to take young guys under my belt, even older veteran guys that sometimes need a push in the back, and give it to them. And I tell those guys, don't be afraid to coach me up. I'm not this perfect player. So if you notice me lacking in any area, get on me. So I'm not above as a leader. You got to take and give. So I'm excited to see where we go with the guys.
Yeah, that's Robert Spillane. Now, the clear leader on that defensive linebacker. JT, back with you as we continue on. Brought to you by Modelo, the #1 beer in America, the fighting spirit of Modelo. Sean King joins us again, former NFL quarterback, Super Bowl champion. What a college career. Sean, good to talk to you. I reached out because I wanted your opinion on these quarterbacks. It now looks like we could go 4 for 4 with the first 4 picks if there's a trade, and with Jaden Daniels, Caleb Williams, Michael Penix Jr., Bo Nix. I know you've done a deep dive on these quarterbacks. Do you think we're reaching early, or is there a lot of value here?
I think the talent level is high, but I also think the draft is extremely deep and talented at offensive tackle and wide receiver, and I think there's some high-end pass rushers. So I do think there's going to be some teams that reach at the quarterback position. Just for context, my rankings, I have Jaden Daniels as my number 1 quarterback, Caleb Williams number 2, Michael Penix number 3, J.J. McCarthy 4, Drake May 5. That's how I have them.
Wow. All right, so let's get going. You know the fascination Raider Nation has for Jaden Daniels. He played with Coach Pierce at ASU before Antonio Pierce became the head coach here officially. So I think it's too expensive for the Raiders to go up probably and get him. What do you think it would cost in a trade for any team, not just the Raiders, the Broncos, any team that needed a quarterback to go up and get a player like Jaden Daniels?
I think you have to target Washington at 2,
Mm-hmm.
and I mean that's going to be expensive. I mean you're probably talking next year and the year after is first and a number 2 in one of those years. So I mean it's really, really expensive, but I understand why Antonio wants Jayden. The familiarity, not just with the talent, but with the person and the player, you know, brings a comfort level to. He's a first-time coach, first-time full-time head coach. So to have a guy that he knows everything about, I mean, it would just alleviate a lot of concerns. And that's not a knock on Aiden O'Connell or Gardner Minshew, who I'm sure are both over there doing everything they can to make, you know, themselves, you know, the top candidate to lead this team. But Jaden Daniels, everybody I think can acknowledge, is more talented, you know, has a better skill set than either of the current quarterbacks projected to start for the Raiders.
Sean King's our guest. I'm interested in the drop of Drake May. What'd you see on film? His ability, big, strong guy. He looks like, if he put on the same uniform, Sam Darnold. Darnold looks like him coming out when he came out of USC. He looks like he's big, strong, sturdy, could make every throw. Is it his lack of mobility compared to the stars, the other 2 big ones?
JP, I just don't think he's consistent yet.
Okay.
I don't think he has the arm talent of the top guys. I think Michael Penix throws the ball on another level compared to the rest of those guys. I think his ability to push the ball down the field is top notch. Jaden is extremely talented. Of course, we know Caleb. I think May's a notch below those guys from a talent standpoint. It's kind of one of those scenarios where his name has been so familiar as it pertains to this draft for the last year and a half, 2 years. People are just making the assumption that he's going to go high, and he may. But when I look at the film, I don't see a guy that I would feel comfortable taking in the first round.
Sean King is our guest. So let's get to Michael Penix because this is interesting. So you probably think he'll be available for the Raiders at 13, or do you like him that much? Denver at 12, or maybe a team trading up? Because there are other insiders who aren't even putting him in the first round of mock drafts. And I read something today that the Raiders or other teams are hoping he's available in round 2. I don't see that happening.
I don't either. And to put context on this, JT, the way Antonio knows Jaden is the way I know Michael Penix. I was the quarterback coach at the University of South Florida. Michael Penix played in Tampa. His parents live around the corner from my mom. So I've known him and that family since he was a freshman.
Wow.
I'm telling you, the most underrated aspect of his game is the level of athlete he is. I've watched him play basketball in high school. I mean, he's a kid that can dunk on the break, drop step. I mean, he's just a fluid athlete. It kind of surfaced at the pro day. I think he ran, 4.4?
Yeah.
And everybody was blown away because he doesn't use that athleticism all the time because he's such a good, competent pocket quarterback. I know people have some concerns with the injuries. I'll say this. He was never injured the last 2 years at Washington. All those injuries were prior to that at University of Indiana. So I have full confidence that Penix is going to be a starting quarterback in this league and be a darn good one. You just have to be comfortable as an organization. Some coordinators are uncomfortable having a left-handed quarterback. They've never had to coordinate an offense for a left-hander. As long as Getsy would be comfortable with that, I don't think there's a huge separation talent-wise between Jaden Daniels and Michael Penix.
Wow, this is unbelievable. Sean King, former Super Bowl NFL quarterback, joins us. So you go that far back with Michael Penix. So that's great. The Indiana injuries, 24 years old, and that's still young because your first contract comes up when you're 29, and with the player option on that age is not going to be an issue. But the injuries, you're okay with that there because he played every game at Washington in a much bigger atmosphere in clutch games, and he played at a very high level. Are you that high with Bo Nix too because they played against each other a bunch or no?
I don't have Bo Nix as a legitimate starting quarterback in the National Football League.
Okay.
The comp for him is Desmond Ridder. I think there are guys that show flashes in college that have something they excel at. I just can't get over certain games I've seen from Bo Nix. Most recent one being the Pac-12 title game versus Michael Penix. There are just some things that scare me with Bo. I think he's more athlete than he is quarterback. Can he channel that and become a consistent thrower of the ball? Maybe. Am I willing to bypass being able to draft a day one starting offensive tackle in the first round to take him, or a legitimate top tier wide receiver? No, I would not be. The Raiders situation, they also need help in that secondary. Can I bypass somebody that's going to upgrade us in that area to take a project at quarterback? I just couldn't.
Sean King, as we wrap it up, so you like the Raiders at offensive tackle, just finally solidify right tackle and do that, or it sounds like you're really high on Penix. This is such an important interview for the Raider fans to hear, because Penix Jr. as good as anybody I interviewed or anybody else, but you also know that the Raiders want to protect a young quarterback, especially a lefty, if they're able to get him. So right tackle and quarterback seem like priority 1 and 1A for the Silver and Black.
Absolutely, and I'm just telling you, Penix is he's a hell of a kid. He's a hell of a talent, hell of a player, loves football, high football IQ. I would not reach at 13, though, because the two teams in front of you need quarterbacks as well, Minnesota and Denver. The top three teams in that draft need quarterbacks. So the price to move up is going to be too expensive, in my opinion. I'd sit at 13. If Penix is there, I'd take him. If not, I love this offensive tackle class. Joe Alt's the best, but the kid from Penn State's legit. The kid from Oregon State, Washington, Georgia. I mean, this is a loaded offensive tackle draft.
So, Sean, in 99, you went in the second round, the 50th pick overall at quarterback. So where would you put yourself back then to today when you see what all this quarterback chatter of someone dropping down? Today, the hot topic, Spencer Rattler. Could he drop into the second round? Penix, what was your ceiling like? You had a hell of a career. Were you happy with that pick overall? Did some people get in your head and say you would go higher, or because you went to Tulane that people thought that was a value pick? Tell me your story again.
So I was full of piss and vinegar on draft day. And just for context, the entire 7-round draft happened on the same day back then. It wasn't the 2-day scenario that came after that, and it definitely wasn't the 3-day scenario that exists now. So the time that you sit there from the first pick to the 50th is forever. And I'm watching Cade McNown and Tim Couch and Achilles Smith and Dante Culpepper, Don McNabb. I'm like, come on now, y'all are tripping. I thought I was going to the 49ers. Bill Walsh had convinced me they were going to take me. They had the 20-something pick, but they ended up going defensive tackle. And they called me and said they were going to try and trade up and get me. But ultimately, I ended up landing with Tampa, which I'm from St. Petersburg, Florida. I was at the house there, so that kind of alleviated some of the frustration. But I'm telling you, you've seen guys sit in the war room and be furious, and they go in the 20s.
Yeah.
So think about going 50th.
Yeah. Well, you were close to home, and it worked out well, and no doubt. Hey, this was really good. This was fantastic. We'll do it again. We'll get a recap after the draft. Thanks for doing this, Sean.
All right. Thanks, JT.
You got it, Sean King. That was really good. I mean, excellent interview on his part. He did it all. He grew up around the block from Michael Penix Jr. Michael Penix Jr. grew up around the block from his mom, and he was coaching there, so he knows the kid very well. And that's the one guy that I'm going to remember going forward if Michael Penix Jr. comes to the Raiders. He was as high on him as anybody else. Good to hear that interview. Thanks again to Sean King. Got drafted by the Buccaneers and won a Super Bowl. Raider Nation, you know that story. You know that story. Should have been in the Raiders Super Bowl, but he had a nice career. Super Bowl champ, played in the league for a number of years, and again, had some upside. Played for the Bucs, the Cardinals, the Lions, the Colts, and played in the league for a little bit, and he's a pretty good analyst. That was a deep dive. Hope you enjoyed that. 702-365-9200 if you want to get in, and that's a good time to follow up someone like that, because he told us some fresh information about Michael Penix Jr. as the basketball player, the drop step, the complete athlete, and the football IQ. You would think that most of these guys have a pretty good football IQ to come to the NFL and play quarterback. You got to have a pretty good IQ. Jamarcus Russell was a tremendous talent, one of the greatest talents of arm talent in the history of college football, and he didn't have a football IQ. There's only so much you were going to learn about him until you had him in the building. When we had him in the building pretty quick, it turned out to be a disaster. You want to make sure the quarterback loves the game and has the football IQ. Bo Nix is at the top of that list. Everybody says he's a great young man who loves football and wants to be a leader there. So we love that. Appreciate everybody jumping in here, and we'll see what happens with Spencer Rattler going forward. Could that, I would love for the Raiders to get, they already have Aiden O'Connell. Put yourself for a moment, everybody in my position, for a second. Don't ask you to do that often. How would I sit here with a 4th-round quarterback out of Purdue, Aiden O'Connell, who played well? How could I sit here and talk about another quarterback in the 3rd or 4th round? How disrespectful would that be to Aiden O'Connell? Hey, man, let's go get Spencer Rattler in the 3rd round. Well, why? We got Aiden O'Connell in the 4th round. If you want to do something bold and get someone in the 1st round, or if you think Michael Penix Jr. is going to be there in the 2nd round, I could live with that phone call, but you can't call in, at least to me, and convince me that getting a quarterback late makes any sense. You just got Gardner Minshew. You got your quarterback late in Gardner Minshew and Aiden O'Connell in the 4th round. You're either going to get the 2nd overall pick or the 3rd overall pick or the 13th pick, or you're not going to get one. Because if we end up getting Spencer Rattler in the 2nd round, that means we're not getting a corner. We're not getting a corner, and we better have an offensive tackle if we're not going to get a corner. So nice job again by Sean King. Really appreciate that. I got a great golf tournament that I want to tell you about. My buddy's wife, who's super successful in town, the first annual golf tournament in town playing in, and it's Saturday, April 27th for youth. Children's Foundation of Las Vegas. They're doing a lot for kids here in town, and it's going to be at Arroyo over at not too far from me in Summerlin, and it's going to be nice. They got a golf course. It's hard to get a golf course on a Saturday this time of year, and they have some foursomes left, so we'll tell you all about that. You can register now. We'll have the details on that coming up. Going to do a little golf tournament plug for the kids. And then Chris Trapasso is going to join us in the final hour and jump in. I'll get to the Warriors. I don't think the Warriors collapsed. I wish they didn't sign Draymond Green. I'm not a Warrior fan, but that was kind of ugly last night. And Sacramento, every time they beat the Warriors, act like it's Game 7 of the NBA Finals because they don't do it much. So they were probably drinking a lot of cerveza last night in Sacramento and Old Town. I can promise you that. All right. Sean King was good, man. That information on Penix was fantastic. That was really good.
I got one call.
Yep. Oh.
Don't miss Unnecessary Roughness, weekdays at 2 on Raider Nation Radio, 920 AM.
Place to watch any big game is Doghouse Saloon at Resorts World, Las Vegas. Doghouse has the best views to watch the action. A sportsbook on site to place your
Yeah, salute Tony. Salute everybody who's in here. Oh. We're going to go another 15 minutes here to the top of the hour. If you got anything you want to talk about, let me know. We'll get rolling. Yeah, the NBA wants to bury this gambling story, man. This is a perfect time to drop that bomb on there with the playoffs going on.
When you need legal advice, you need the brothers. You need the DeCastro Law Firm. This is JT. They're my attorneys, and they should be yours too. For personal injuries and accidents, reach out to the DeCastro Law Firm. Let their family fight for yours.
This spring, make all of your occasions a celebration of freshness and flavor with Portishead party trays. With premium meats and cheeses, your choice of fresh baked bread with fresh.
Take a picture of the chat.
Sauces and shakers. Order your Portishead 6-foot party tray today at portishead.com or on our mobile app for freshness at your fingertips.
I need that phone number. I want to call.
Yeah. 1 second. It's Donnell, Danele, Donnell. Number is 702-376-0616.
She's good for 105.
She hasn't got back to me, so call her at 105.
It's going to be Angel O'Connell coming back. Okay, start off. I'm going to get you 2 minutes.
Yep.
Thursday the 18th, it's $2 beer night. And Friday the 19th, it's been the backlog jersey giveaway night. Aviators baseball, easy access, free parking, great food, good times, and plenty of baseball. Life's just better at Las Vegas Ballpark.
It's Ash from Sam and Ash and Drew.
Oh, Sam and Ash, my friend Ashley.
Hey, you should check your mail. She sent you a card.
Did she?
Sam started this law firm to provide injury victims with unmatched customer service.
You also got to stand up with somebody that doesn't look like they can write it.
The legal process with patience and clear communication. So if you've been hurt in a crash, call Sam and Ash. 702.
So when's your next game? Thursday, it's the Ducks. So what has to happen with that Duck game? We have to win?
Well, it'd be a good thing to win, yeah.
Yeah.
You know, but right now, they are the number 3 in the Pacific. That
Right.
means they'd be playing Edmonton in the first round. If they drop down to the second wild card, that means they play Dallas in the first round.
Rather play Dallas than Edmonton.
Yeah, you'd rather play Edmonton.
Really?
Dallas is the number 1 seed for a reason.
Right.
So you actually have a little better luck against Edmonton.
My Yankees losing again in Toronto? What channel is that game on? Is that a national game? No.
Sounds like a Wednesday morning getaway. All right, Aiden O'Connell.
Yeah.
Got about 8 minutes.
Getty Lee goes to Toronto games.
Join me at betmoneyhoney.com. Welcome back to the JT the Brick Show. Brought to you by Modelo Especial, the new #1 beer in the U.S.
Yeah, definitely people filter back in. We had a good group throughout the entire offseason that stayed in Vegas and worked out, but then obviously guys coming back and new faces, old faces. So it's a lot different than college. You know, you're with your guys the whole offseason really in college. And so it's been fun to see guys I haven't seen in a while, fun to be with guys who, like I said, I've been here, but overall it's been a good experience.
That's Aiden O'Connell, who pretty much says everything right, which he should. He's really good. Aiden O'Connell is very good at all that, and I appreciate that. Aiden O'Connell, someone you want to root for. Aiden O'Connell cares about this opportunity for sure. We're brought to you by Tequila Commissario, the Ferrari of tequilas, the Maloofs, unbelievable tequila here in Las Vegas and going global, winning a whole bunch of awards. You can find it now everywhere. You can go to Total Wine, Lee's Liquor, wherever you're going through a casino, ask for Tequila Commissario. Proud partner of our show. One other quick thing I wanted to mention before we get to the top of the hour on the NBA play-in tournament. The play-in tournament made a little bit of sense because no one cares about the last couple of days of the year. They don't. So what they basically did is they took the 7, 8, 9, and 10 seed, and they said, we're going to give you a little TV time on your own. And why they did that is because the TV partners are upset that during the year that there were too many stars not playing. Do we all understand this? This is the premise of why you're having a play-in tournament, because the television partners who pay the owners billions of dollars and the players make all that money and split it with the owners from where? Television. They're giving you an added TV show. And last night I watched the television show. It was a 2-parter, early and late game. The late game started late. I put out a tweet. The late game tipped off at 10:16 Eastern time. See, those of us who live out west, we have it best. As Jim Morrison said, the West is best because we just have better times to watch television. But last night, that was a pretty good television show. Back-to-back, important games. We could have saw the Lakers in trouble if Zion didn't get hurt, and the Warriors, our most recent dynasty, just got eliminated. So that made for television that people, if you know the Warriors you're only going to see the Warriors one more time, Steph, Clay, and Draymond, you tune in. Be interesting to see what the ratings are there. Let's get out to Sawdoff. Joins us on the flagship of the Silver and Black. Jump in. Go ahead.
Yo.
Yo.
What's up, JT, man? Start off in the hizzy. I want to talk about a couple of things. First of all, our needs. We all know what our needs are. We need some offensive line. We need a quarterback. We need some defensive backs and maybe a linebacker. But we have a bunch of picks. We have seven, 8 picks, something like that. So we have room.
No, but hold on. Hey, hold on. Your sixth and seventh pick might not make the team. So we got like 3 picks. We got 3 picks who can start, and then of course add depth. That's why I only concentrate on the first couple of rounds, because a lot of these other guys the last couple of years don't even make the team.
I don't know. We had 4th and 5th rounders and 6th rounders make the team before. So
we do.
I want to specifically talk about quarterback.
Mm.
So we've been. I 12 weeks ago I called in and I told you about J.J. McCarthy.
You did.
And nobody was high on J.J. McCarthy. Nobody was talking about him. And I told you I watched all his tape. I watched his live. I watched his combine. I watched all kinds of stuff. And the kid has talent. And now all the talking heads are talking about J.J. McCarthy and have been talking about him for 5 weeks.
Well, I mean, come on, Sawed-Off. It's not like he didn't win the national championship. No. I mean, you're not talking about some no-name guy who won the Natty. Come on.
The day that I called in, what were we doing? You were talking about Michael Penix Jr. and Bo Nix. Which one would you rather have, this guy or that guy? And I called in and said, I would take neither one of them because J.J. McCarthy is a better quarterback. He's cerebral.
All right, so why are we talking about this? You want the Raiders to trade up at 13 and get him? He's not going to be there.
Because the reason I'm talking about this is because Spencer Rattler, he seems to be what all the talking heads are talking about
today.
Right now. And I will tell you, he is not a second-round draft pick. He's not even in the top 100 prospects of most people's boards. Now, if we are going, and you just said the other day, you said we need to draft a quarterback in the first round. If we don't, I wouldn't go after one in the 4th round or the 5th round because we already got one of those, right?
Yep.
But let me tell you, if we were to pick up a quarterback, everybody is missing on this one guy who's really late in the rounds. And I'll tell you what, he's got some kind of flair. That's that boy from Notre Dame, Sam Hartman.
Yeah, with the hair.
Keep an eye out for Sam Hartman.
Yeah.
That guy with the hair, yeah.
All right, buddy. Yeah, I appreciate it. I got to run. We got a guy with the hair. We got the guy with the hair. We got Gardner Minshew. He's got better hair or equal hair. I'm not into shampoo commercials. I'm into winning Super Bowls. Okay, but you're right. He's a good player, and maybe he'll develop into a better player than that. Look, the Raiders could have had Baker Mayfield, not his first overall pick. Could have got him in free agency. The Raiders could have gotten some other players who have been decent. They found that type of player in Gardner Minshew, a player you can trust. You know you're going to win games. If the Raiders have to put out Gardner Minshew, let me take that back, not have to. If the Raiders put out Gardner Minshew week 1, no one's going to call this show saying, I don't think we can win. I think everybody, am I right to say that? Everybody thinks we can win with this defense and Gardner Minshew and is not going to think we're going to get obliterated. Aiden O'Connell didn't complete a pass in the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th quarter, and we beat Kansas City. You look at all that, it's the quarterback is not going to hurt you here, but you just like to have something flashy, a diamond, a superstar. We play against Mahomes and Herbert. We need a quarterback eventually who can play at the level of Herbert and Mahomes. Probably not going to happen this year at number 13. I don't see it unless it's Michael Penix Jr. and he develops into a star. And from talking to Sean King, that is a possibility. The M Resort Spa and Casino, we appreciate them. That's the home. It's the official home of the Raiders. Raiders Hotel, the M Resort Spa and Casino. Concerts out at the pool. Great restaurants as you go inside. Anthony's is fantastic. Always get a chance to have a cocktail with Fred Biletnikoff at the bar at Anthony's. Fantastic overall. Speaking of that, we got a golf tournament I'm going to promote next. So stay with me if you can for the first 10 or 15 minutes. If you're in Vegas, I think I got a great hookup for you for a great golf tournament at a reasonable price at a good golf course here in town in Summerlin. And then we're going to talk to Chris Trapasso. Going to jump in with him. It'll be good to talk to him about, he's from CBS. And then I'm going to go off again on the Warriors' loss. Trying to retrain, like my years at 95.7 The Game and KNBR. Trying to retrain the audience to understand that there are certain days where basketball is important, just like our Stanley Cup hockey team. JT from the studios today. Goodbye to our YouTube friends. Got a whole bunch of friends now on YouTube. Never knew I'd ever have any YouTube friends. Yeah, Bobby says, well, why don't they call? We don't need them to call. They just say hello to me in the chat. See you, everyone. See you soon. Hope you're all well. Thank you, as always. Remember, I want to get everybody into the monologue. That's the key. The first 30 minutes of the YouTube is what we're focused on. The first 30 minutes. The rest of it you can hear on the app. Please hit subscribe and like, and please share. Take this YouTube. I thought that first half hour proves what we're doing. Take the first half hour or the whole thing here and share it with your friends. Put it on your timeline. Put it on your Facebook. Put it on your YouTube. I greatly appreciate everyone, as you know. Have a great rest of the day and keep listening. We're on the Raiders mobile app.